Attention passionate Seattle SEAHAWKS fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC West and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Seattle Seahawks' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Seattle Seahawks fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Seattle SEAHAWKS fans. Let's get to the news. Now, folks, buckle up because the NFL landscape is always shifting, and right now, the Seahawks are at the center of some major moves that could reshape not just their season, but the entire NFC West. The latest buzz from insiders like Adam Schefter and other sources close to the league suggests that Seattle has made a strategic decision that might surprise many. They've traded away one of their key defensive backs, Rick Woolen, to the Las Vegas Raiders, and in return, they're not just clearing cap space but also bolstering their depth on the defensive line. This move isn't just about a player swap. It's about the bigger picture, addressing their secondary issues and preparing for the intense stretch run of 2024. So why Woolen? Well, if you've been paying attention to this young cornerback, you know he's been a revelation since being drafted out of UTSA in 2022. Woolen burst onto the scene with a swagger that only top-tier talents can bring. In 2024, he's been fantastic, with 6 interceptions so far, placing him among the top 5 among cornerbacks, which is no small feat. He's also accumulated 62 tackles, and his EPA per snap, which measures how much a player positively or negatively impacts the team's success, sits at an elite plus 0.15. His PFF grade for 2024 is an impressive 84. 2, ranking him around the 15th best among all cornerbacks, and his coverage rating of 72. 5 puts him comfortably in the top 12. Woolen's YAC allowed is only 2.6 yards per reception, another sign of his ability to limit yards after catch, and he's been allowing just 48% completion rate on passes thrown his way, which is top 15 in the league. Now, the Seahawks are obviously looking ahead, and even with Woolen's brilliance, there are some concerns. He's been dealing with a concussion, which has limited his availability, and in 2025, he's also dealing with some minor injuries, including a doubtful status for Week 7. Plus, the team has some injury issues on the offensive line, with Jones questionable for the next game due to a sprained ankle, and Haynes already sidelined with an injury. It's a turbulent time for Seattle's secondary, especially considering Witherspoon, their other key corner, is limited by a knee injury, and Woolen's concussion kept him out of a few games earlier this season. This context helps us understand why the Seahawks might have decided to shake things up, even if Woolen's talent is undeniable. But let's not forget the other side of this trade, the Raiders. Coming into the season, Las Vegas has been struggling, sitting at 1-4, and many see them as tanking for a higher draft pick. Yet, acquiring Woolen is a move that signals their intention to contend sooner rather than later. Woolen, who was drafted in 2022 and has already established himself as one of the league's premier young cornerbacks, immediately upgrades their secondary. His play style is exactly what the Raiders need: athletic, aggressive ball hawking. They're adding a player capable of making game-changing plays, like his 6 interceptions in 2024 and that crucial pick against the Dolphins in Week 3, which showcased his ability to read the quarterback and make a play on the ball. In terms of stats, Woolen's career so far includes 150 tackles, 9 interceptions, and 25 pass deflections. His high ball hawk rate of 15% in 2024 demonstrates his knack for forcing turnovers. His ability to cover top receivers is evident. He's in the elite group when it comes to man coverage, winning around 68% of his matchups and allowing a QBR of just 57.3 when targeted. And in 2025, despite some limitations, he's been able to produce 1 interception and 3 pass deflections, showing that even with injuries, his talent remains top-notch. The Raiders are betting on that talent to help turn their secondary around, especially with a player like Crosby, who has 6 sacks this season and creates pressure that complements Woolen's coverage skills. Now, what does this mean for the Seahawks? Well, they're clearly prioritizing their defense, especially their front 7, as they aim to keep their playoff hopes alive. With a cap space of about $22 million, they're focusing on bolstering their pass rush and defensive depth, aiming to extend rookies like Boy Mafe and improve their overall pass defense. They're betting that by doing so, they can maintain or even improve their standings in the NFC West, which remains one of the most competitive divisions in the league. But there's a trade-off. By moving Woolen, they might see their secondary take a hit, with EPA per pass dropping by around 10%, similar to what we've seen with the Jets after losing Gardner. That's a significant concern because the NFC West features some of the league's most explosive offenses, including the 49ers and the Rams, who can exploit secondary vulnerabilities. On the other hand, the Raiders are aiming for a resurgence with Woolen. The projections suggest that adding him could lead to around 8 additional interceptions for their defense, reducing passing yards allowed from 230 to about 190 per game. That's a massive improvement. Coverage efficiency could jump by roughly 18%. When you compare Woolen versus Hobbs, the stats show that Woolen can create about 1/6 more yards of separation per target, along with a 20% increase in deflections, making him a true game changer. With Crosby's pass-rushing ability and Woolen's coverage skills, the Raiders are positioning themselves to be a top 10 pass defense by the end of the season, which would be a major step forward from their current ranking of 22nd. And let's talk about the Super Bowl odds, because this move is not just about the regular season. The betting markets have already shifted. Before the trade, the Seahawks had Super Bowl odds at plus 12-0, which was pretty long, but now they've dropped to plus 5-0. That's a huge jump, signaling that the bookmakers believe this team has a real shot at making noise in the postseason. The AFC contenders are also looking more dangerous, with odds at plus 600. But the real story here is how Woolen's presence in the playoffs can serve as an X-factor. His ability to shadow deep threats, especially players like Adams, could be the difference in tight playoff games. Defensive EPA against deep passes could see a boost of around 20%, which means more stops, more turnovers, and ultimately more chances for the Seahawks to make a deep run. So in conclusion, this trade is a clear pivot point. For the Raiders, it's about accelerating their rebuild, adding a player who can immediately impact their secondary and turn them into a more competitive unit. For the Seahawks, it's about making strategic adjustments, focusing on their front seven, and trusting that their young talent, like Witherspoon and others, can step up to fill the gap left by Woolen. It's a move that reflects both teams' visions for the rest of 2024, one pushing for immediate contention, the other trying to redefine their secondary for the long haul. This is what makes the NFL so exciting. These strategic moves, the high-stakes trades, the shifting odds, and the stories of young players like Woolen who can alter the course of a franchise in just a few plays. The Seahawks are navigating a season full of challenges, but with moves like this, they're showing they're not afraid to shake things up, to take risks, and to fight for another shot at the Super Bowl. It's a fascinating time for Seahawks fans, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Seattle Seahawks news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Seattle Seahawks fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this bold move? Do you think trading Woolen was the right call? How do you see this shaping the rest of the season? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Seahawks. Remember, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for all the latest Seahawks news. We're in a pivotal moment, and your voice is part of this story. Thanks for sticking with me, and as always, go Seahawks.